Hello, everyone. I'm hoping that you can hear me. We had a little trouble this morning getting started. Are we on the speaker? Well, thank you very much for being patient and waiting for us to get started here this morning. We finally have the glitches out of the system. We were having trouble accessing the GoToWebinar software, but we're here now, and and we've got it ready to go. We just have to use a little bit of an older PowerPoint presentation. But let's go ahead and get started. Thank you very much for coming. Everybody who's here this morning is trying to get some more information about our Hill visits that we're going to be doing this February. We're going to be leaving on the 7th, and we'll be there for 2 days. We're part of the neurofibromatosis, and the program that we're talking about today is the NF Network Advocacy Program. Okay, so the NF Network was founded back in 1988, and it was created by regionally independent organizations, and one of the purposes of the organization is to be able to conduct national programs like the one we're talking about here today. And I always like to start with our mission statement. It's to find treatments and a cure for neurofibromatosis by promoting scientific research, improving clinical care, providing outreach through education and awareness while offering hope and support to those affected by NF. We're funded on 3 different pillars. We're leading in NF advocacy and building NF community. Today we're talking about our pillar promoting NF research, which is our strongest program, the NF Network Advocacy Program. And just so that you can see a little bit about who the NF Network is, I'm showing you the different regional groups and state groups that are involved with the NF Network. So we've identified 14,000 families, and we've provided services in 44 different states. And the underserved areas the NF Network covers. And if you see where this is our strategic map, and if you see where we're saying promoting NF research, our advocacy program falls in that area. Just real quick, letting you see some of the fun activities that happen through the NF Northeast. They service the states of Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire, New York, Vermont, and Rhode Island. And Central Plains, they service Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, and Oklahoma. And the big state of California, you can see they're doing their walk here. They have lots of educational and support meetings. And at Arizona, they've enjoyed doing camps in the past, and there's some pictures here of a dinner before one of their a marathon program, a pasta dinner. And if Michigan has got some pictures here of their walk program, and then they do lots of educational meetings as well. And Washington State NF, this is a picture of one of their walks. All of those groups, as well as other groups, are part of the NF Network Advocacy Program. And what has this program done? So it started in 1996. It's a grassroots program, and it has successfully advocated for over $250 million through the Army's NF research program and for inclusion of language at the National Institutes of Health for NF research. And this is what our group looked like. In last year, in 2015, we had 48 advocates that went on the Hill, and we conducted over 200 meetings in 2 days. We had 16 states represented. And here is a good sampling of what the results of those advocates did. So you see this group of people, if you go back here, worked really hard and was able to get 108 signatures in the House. That's what we're hoping to do here in just like a week and a half. This is actually one of the Dear Colleague letters. This is the one that's on the Senate side. You just saw the signatures that were on the House side, but just gives you an idea of what that looks like. And these are the senators that signed on for last year. Okay, so we had over 424 congressional offices reached out to through our advocacy efforts in the email program. So we had 4,010 advocates send messages. By the end of the year, through the couple of pushes that we did, NF had 7,583 emails that went to our congressional offices. So what does our program look like? This slide kind of gives you a good idea of what we're going to be doing. And we're getting ready now. In January, we start the program. We're always looking for support of two different programs. The Army's NF Research Program. This is funded through the Department of Defense. And the name of the program is Congressionally Directed Medical Research Program, or you might hear me say CDMRP. The other thing that we're looking to support is committee language for the National Institutes of Health to support NF research. So there's two Dear Colleague letters, one for the Army's NF Research Program and one for the committee language for NIH being a priority, for NF being a priority at NIH. In January, we determined the amount that we're going to be asking this year. We're going to be asking for $18 million, which is up $3 million from the last several years. Now we're getting ready to go to Washington, D.C. All the documents are being prepared, the support documents, which you'll see here in just a little bit. And then we'll be going to the Hill to educate them about NF, which is a very exciting trip. I hope you guys will enjoy it very much. It's hard work, but it's a great trip. So then in March, when we get back, we'll be doing our email campaign and trying to get ready to meet the deadline for the Dear Colleague letters for the signatures. And in April, we typically do testimony to either the House or the Senate, some years both. Then in June or July, when the committee language is released, often, most years, the House has included a dollar amount for us. Like last year, it was $15 million, and the Senate side is always a zero. So we have to have a conference since they don't match. And the House, we always do another letter writing campaign and ask for the House side to prevail, which is what happened last year. And once that's happened, the conference is over. It actually goes to the President for signature. So on a normal year, we'll get that information sometime in September or October if we've gotten the funding, and then it moves on to the President for his signature. Not all the years, actually most years don't follow the total normal pattern, but that's as close as a rhythm as we've been able to find. So what are the two programs that we're doing? So the first one here is the CDMRP NF Research Program, and the other one is the National Institutes of Health. So this is for 2017. This is an old slide right here. So we're doing the Defense Appropriations Bill request. So our Dear Colleague letter is going to be asking for support of the Army's NF Research Program, which is the NF Research Program is part of the Department of Defense, the Congressionally Directed Medical Research Program. And the other Dear Colleague letter is going to be looking for Labor, Health, and Human Service Appropriations Bill request. That's to increase funding for NF at NIH. So we're looking for our members when we're at our meetings, we're asking them if they would please sign a Dear Colleague letter for us to support both of these two programs. The Dear Colleague letters for this year, these are what we're hoping is going to happen. We're hoping that on the Senate side it's going to be Senator Markey from Massachusetts. He's done them in the past. And when we get there, we will have a meeting with his office and ask again that he be the author of that letter. And then on the House side, it's been Congressman Gutierrez for years, and we will ask him if he again would be willing to author the Dear Colleague letter for us. And we have someone new this year interested in Representative Ribble from Wisconsin, so we're hoping that we will have two authors on our Dear Colleague letter, which would be great. And the goal for us is to get as many members of Congress to sign on these letters as possible so that it'll go to the Appropriations Committee asking for support of our programs. So now that we've gotten there, we're getting to the meeting. So what does a meeting look like? That's what I'd like to spend the bulk of our time on here this morning. So the first thing when you come into the meeting, the first thing you always do is thank them from taking the time to meet you. And then you want to explain who you are, where you're from, that you're representing the NF Network Patient Advocacy Organization, and then come on into the meeting and you say, explain NF. So the first thing we do is we talk about that NF is a highly variable neurological genetic condition causing tumor growth. NF can affect almost every organ system in the body, and because it causes tumors to grow along the nerves in the skin, in the skin, below the skin, and brain and spinal cord tumors as well. Some tumors are small, while others can be massive and grow uncontrollably. NF can cause symptoms ranging from severe pain, brain tumors, blindness, deafness, learning disabilities, heart disease, bone disease, cancer, and sometimes death. Currently, there's no way to predict where or when the tumors will grow. And the next thing I'd like to have suggest that you do in your meeting is to explain your personal story. Talk about how NF affects you. Like in my case, I talk about my daughter. She was diagnosed when she was 2.5 years old, that we've been active in this program for the past 30 years, and I talk about how NF has affected her. Try to be able to connect with the staff person that you're meeting with. And then this one here, since I'm using an old PowerPoint here, I have done some changes on this, and I'll make sure you get this whole structure, your congressional meeting, in an email so that you'll have this as a sample to work from. So NF is a model disorder. Researchers are really telling us that, and it crosses many body parts. And so approximately 175 million Americans stand to benefit from this research. So we talk about how it affects how we learn things about NF in learning disabilities. We learn about it from heart disease, bone abnormality, and nerve function, wound healing. One of the things I think we really want to make people understand is that the first one is talking about the general population. We're talking about 175 million Americans that benefit from NF research. The second impact statement is more about how it affects the military. So the understanding of NF's impact on nerve regeneration, bone repair, wound healing, behavior and brain function, muscle weakness all have implications to the military. For example, the pain pathway in NF has now been identified to be very similar to that of the phantom limb pain. And when we get a little bit further on in our discussion here this morning, it'll also, there's a military benefit sheet, so you'll be able to see how the research that has been done directly affects the military. And it's a document that you can leave behind in the meetings. So then we want to talk a little bit about what the program is. Since 1996, the Neurofibromatosis Research Program is one of the Department of Defense's congressionally directed medical research programs. The NFRP is an efficient run national program that offers awards through a competitive peer review process which fills gaps on ongoing research. It complements initiatives sponsored by other agencies such as the National Institutes of Health or NIH. Basically, in that first one, we're talking about the NFRP. We're patient advocacy organizations, patients representing NF, and we want to tell them that we've been really pleased with this program. The NFRP has participation from NF researchers, from NIH, and NF-affected individuals, which we really think has been one of the strengths of that program. So, again, to address the military function, we talk about how the NF research has found out that the NF gene controls pathways which are directly related to pain, nerve regeneration, wound healing, blood vessel growth, bone healing, muscle weakness, learning disabilities, behavior and brain function, tumor growth, and 70% of all human cancers. And then this year, since we are asking for $3 million more than we were previously, one of the reasons that we are asking for more is because we want to be able to continue to fund the NF Clinical Trials Consortium. So we want to make sure we bring that up in our meetings this year. And what is it that we like about this program? It accelerates the clinical trial process. It has recruited, there's 19 different clinical sites worldwide, and there is one operational center which analyzes the data. It has already processed 8 clinical trials, and there's more clinical trials in the wings that we're hoping that we continue to get this funding for so that we can continue this NF Clinical Trials Consortium. And then I'd like to explain a success story. I've been using the learning disability story for a long time, and so many of you may know that one already. I'll spend a little bit of time talking about the MEK inhibitor. That's a new one that's been funded through this clinical trials consortium that is being used on plexiform tumors. It's showing a 25% reduction in these really stubborn tumors. It's the first time we really have a true success story for our plexiform tumors so far. Granted, it's in the very, very beginning stages. We're just learning about this program and its success. But that's one of the reasons why we really want to keep this NF Clinical Trial Consortium going. We want to be able to expand on the successes that we're already starting to see. And then NIH complements the CDMRP NF research program. So the NF research program at NIH has increased proportionately to the funding of the NFRP. The NFRP funds cutting-edge, higher-risk research projects. These projects collect data, and then that data they use to be able to fund good science at NIH. So NIH does a trans-NIH meeting, NF meeting. That's where all the different institutes from NIH come together and talk about the research that's being done about NF. And they also send someone from the Department of Defense at that meeting. So there's good collaboration between both the NIH NF research program and the CDMRP NF research program. So then we have to make our ask. We have to be careful that we don't forget all this information out to them and then we don't say what we're looking for. Oh, I'm not sure why that's flipping around on me like that. Okay, let's hope it stays still this time. So what we are seeking in fiscal 2017. For our defense appropriations request, we're seeking $18 million in funding for the Army's NF research program. In the 2017 Department of Defense appropriations bill, the NFRP is one of the Department of Defense's congressionally directed medical research programs. Then the second request we're making is that Labor, Health, and Human Service appropriations request, and we're requesting report language on NF at the National Institutes of Health to be included in the fiscal 2017 Labor, Health, and Human Services Education Appropriations Bill. And you'll have a copy of that NIH language in an email that I sent out to you. And again, just to go back over this, it's a Dear Colleague letter that will be circulated in the House and in the Senate, and you can tell the staffer that once the letters are launched, and they start to get circulated, that you'll be reaching back and contacting them to let them know that it's out there and that we're asking for their support with those letters, to sign on to those letters. And then the same thing for the Labor, Health, and Human Services. Okay, just a few points. I'll go through these kind of quick. So when you're in the meeting, just remember to make it local. You're the constituent, tell the story. And if you're not the constituent and you're doing a meeting for, let's say you have somebody's story that you're bringing with you and you're going into an office there, make sure you tell them that that's why you're there, your connection of why you're in that office. Make it personal, tell your story. Remember to ask for their support. Don't assume that they're going to help. You're likely to meet with the staff and not the member. Keep your message short and to the point. Oh, it flipped on me, didn't it? Okay, here we go. Be flexible. Sometimes the meetings will actually happen in the hallway. Sometimes the meeting rooms are all full, and you won't be able to talk to the staffer or the member in the office. It'll be out in the hallway. Meetings could only last 15 minutes, so you need to make sure you get in there, you make your point quite quickly, because their time is very valuable, and then they'll have another meeting. So we just have a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes to make our point. Make sure you do arrive on time. If something's come up and you aren't going to be able to make it on time, when you get your schedule from Katie on Monday morning, it has phone numbers on there, so do be sure to be in touch with the office. Make sure you thank them, state that you're constituent, keep them moving. The only thing here I want to make sure we talk about is do designate a spokesperson. So if you're going with a group of people, you're not going in by yourself, just make sure you know who the lead is going to be going in that meeting. Do justify your request, but don't overwhelm the staff with too much information. Make sure we stay on point and we talk about our NF program and why it is that we feel the justifications are for continued funding. We do have a folder for you for each one of your meetings, and it's going to have some information we're going to look at here in just a few moments, which includes the request. And then we will send you a thank you template that you can send to everyone that you meet with. And if you should choose to do drop-in meetings, that's a meeting that if you have, many of us do extra meetings. So there's not a meeting scheduled, but you do want to make sure that you touch base with an office, so you do a drop-in meeting. So you leave a folder with them, and sometimes there'll be either a defense or a health aide there to meet with you. But more times than not, you're just leaving a folder. But I do send them a thank you, as well as the people that I meet with. Just it's another way to reach back to them. And then do follow up with emails to them to let them know when the Dear Colleague letter is, as well as your thank you. So that's what we were getting to as the last slide. Oops, this keeps switching, doesn't it? Make sure you get a business card from the staffer at your meeting so you can contact them directly. If you're doing a meeting by phone, ask for the staffer's email. Right after the meeting, jot down any questions that were raised, and then your impressions about the meeting. I'll show you a form that we'll send to you as well that you can use if you feel it will help you to track these things. Then I have no idea why this just goes by itself. We're not asking it to go. The internet is really goofy today. Okay. And then send a note to the staffer with that email that you get through the meeting that you're at, or a phone meeting that you have. And then lots of times you develop ongoing relationships. So year after year, if you've been there, it gets to be quite a friendly visit. Okay, so this is the schedule for our trip. So on Sunday, Carmine's has been very generous to us once again and is donating a dinner to us. So if we could arrive at Carmine's by 6:30, and then we're going to have Dr. Jill Morris from NINDS through the National Institutes of Health. She's the NF Research Portfolio Coordinator, and she's going to talk about different research that's being done on NIH, some of the success stories that we're having through research there that we can take with us on the Hill. And then that should wrap up about 9:30. And then that next day on Monday morning, we'll have you meet, those of you who are staying at the Capitol Hill Hotel, meet in the lobby about 7:30. Get on over to Van Scoyoc offices for about 7:45, from 7:45 to 8:15. You'll be able to pick up your folders, visit with everybody for a little bit, kind of get organized. Then at 8:15, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll do an overview. And then Ed Long is going to talk about some of our strategies on the Hill this year. That'll be primarily focusing on, we're increasing our request from $15 million to $18 million, and what are the strategies that we're going to use in our meetings for that. And then at 9 o'clock, Nava Bora is going to be coming from the Army's NF Research Program, and he'll be able to talk to us about some of the successes of that program as well. And then we'll descend on the Hill. You'll get a schedule from Katie at that point that has all their meetings in it, the times and the locations of those meetings, and we'll just get busy doing those meetings. And any free time that you have, you're welcome to jump in and join somebody else's meeting or do one of those drop-off meetings that I mentioned to you. So this is just a copy of that advocacy tracking. It's the Excel list. Actually, Herb Sarnoff from California put this together. It's an awesome tool to be able to keep track of who you met with, their email, if they're a health aide or if they're a defense aide. Just give yourself some notes, as we go through this process on each one of the people that are involved. And you'll get this one from me as an attachment in an email. And when you get your list from Katie this year, the beginnings of this will all be filled out. Who the representative is, who the aide is, their email. So a lot of that information will already be there, and you can just add on these other columns. I guess the other point on this one really is don't be afraid. You're the constituent. You have a good story that's met with great success. Don't be argumentative. It's okay to disagree, but be polite and stay on point. The other issue is always, don't claim to be an expert. If you don't know, hey, it's a great reason to contact them again, to get back in touch with them, get the answer to the question that they have, and then we can start developing and working on a relationship with that office. And then the other thing is to avoid the acronyms. They may not understand all of our CDMRP and NF research program to be able to just, say the names of the programs. So this is the fact sheet. So when you look at this, you'll be able to see how NF affects other people. They'll get the personal story from you and how NF affects you personally, but then you can use these as samples of the way NF affects other individuals. And then the description of NF is really this column right here. So when you're in your meeting and you're doing what NF is, this is the same description of NF. And this is one of the pieces that will be in the folder that you'll leave behind. And then here it talks about the NF research programs. These bullet points right here are talking about the Congressionally Directed Medical Research Program for NF, and it's also talking about NIH. And this last piece down here is what we're looking for. That's our ask for 2017. Then I had talked to you a little bit about a statement that backs up our military benefit for NF research that's been done. So this is actually a compilation of research that's been done in the past through last year that talks about the connection. And this year we're highlighting bone repair, muscle weakness, pain management, psychosocial disabilities, vascular disease, and wound healing. So when you'll get this from me electronically, and one of these will be in each folder for you to leave behind the office, and it talks about each one of these areas, like bone repair, talks about how it affects NF and how it affects the military, and then it cites the research, and the connection back to the military in it. So it should be a very helpful document. And then this is one really more for your knowledge. We do every year, several times a year, this Network Edge. And this is really a review of all the literature, and so you can go back through here and find out if it was funded through the CDMRP or NIH, because you're going back to family and friends or to members of your organization and asking these people to write their congressman. And this is a way to show them that their efforts have been successful, because we have this additional funding that has been made available due to the advocates requesting it from Congress. And obviously good researchers putting in proposals. So now we're back home, and we want to get our constituents to, and our members, families, and friends to also support us on this. And how do we do that? So if you go to the NF Network website, you'll see there's a Capitol building, and this what's on there now will change to a new link by the time we get back. And you'll click here, it says Learn More. And it'll take you to our Advocacy Actions, and it will put in the letters that are in here. This is one going to the House, this is one going to the Senate. Then you really just need to type your name, and then underneath here you'll be able to type your address and hit send. It's that simple, and the message is launched and off to the congressman. Well, that's it. So I hope that this answered your questions, at least made you feel a little bit better. This is going to be recorded, and we will send a link out to everybody so that you can get copies of this. Since we've had so much trouble with this website today, I don't know if it's even going to be possible to ask questions. I can look down here if anybody has typed one. I don't see one typed. So I think what I'd like to do is, it looks like you're still on the webinar, so it must be working. And then what I'd like to suggest, if you could just give me a call at the office if you have questions on this, I'd be glad to take the questions. And the office number is 630-510-1115. All right, well, thank you very much. I hope to hear from you. You'll be getting an email from me shortly that has all these documents that I just talked about here today. All right, we'll see you in D.C. Bye-bye.